What if sound could heal the heart and awaken the soul? Today we begin an essential journey into the transformative world of Maha-Mantra yoga meditation, which is a way of the heart of the Bhakti yoga practice. In other words, Maha-Mantra meditation is the primary aspect of Bhakti. If we chant the Maha-Mantra, even if we can't engage in the other practices of Bhakti, all success is achievable. In this episode, we'll discover how sacred sound leads to self-realization through the ancient, joyful practice of mantra meditation, and we'll learn why the Maha-Mantra is considered the most accessible and potent practice for this cosmic age of confusion and discord. Meditation has proven to be an effective tool for self-realization, and some form of it is used in almost all liberation paths of India. In today's fast-paced world where anxiety, stress, and disconnection are common, the simplicity and emotional resonance of mantra meditation offers a grounded and meaningful way to reconnect with ourselves and with the divine. The yoga paths, in fact all spiritual paths, want to bring the Citta into a pure state. The Citta is like a mirror, and when it's cleansed and undistorted, we can perceive the self. Now, there are three aspects, as we heard earlier in an episode. The Citta is the source of the mind, intelligence, and ego. In fact, some say that intelligence, mind, and ego are contaminations that spring from the Citta. So purifying the Citta includes spiritualizing the mind, intelligence, and ego. Let me share a simple model, the triune brain. Though it's not accepted by everyone, it's helpful to understand these aspects of the Citta. So with the triune brain, we have the stem reptile brain, which includes basic, unconscious, and fundamental functions. Then we have the limbic brain, which is emotional brain. And then we have the neocortex, which is thought, speech, imagination, and understanding consequences. So these correlate this way. The stem brain is the ahankar or ego, the limbic brain is the mind, and the neocortex is the intelligence. At any rate, it's our subtle bodies, mind, intelligence, and ego, that get in the way of our evolution as spiritual beings. To purify the Citta, steady the mind and intelligence, and replace the false ego with the true ego, meditation on the sacred sound of the Hare Kṛṣṇa Maha-Mantra is the potent, uplifting agent. I can't state this enough, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll understand why. Now, back to meditation. It's notable for many that meditating on a mantra is easier than meditating on nothing, or trying to focus the mind on a single object, or trying to stop the mind altogether. Actually, it's the inherent nature of the mind to roam. However, we can give the mind positive, purifying engagement. Doesn't this make sense? Instead of fighting against something's inherent, unchangeable characteristic, we can shift the focus. And when the focus is something alive, it's very engaging. Let's take an example. If we have a toddler who's doing something that may harm him or her, we can take away that item and give them something more engaging or educational. And if we handed them a puppy or a cat, they'd immediately become enthralled. Now, because the Maha-Mantra is a spiritual energy, it's alive and attractive, which helps control the mind. But the mantra of the names does more than that. Yes, sacred sound fixes, purifies, calms, and uplifts the mind, Citta, intelligence, and ego into higher states. And we ought to know that this is done without the strenuous effort that other paths demand for this work. But additionally, because the sounds are in connection with the pure absolute, they simultaneously plant the sacred seed of divine love in our hearts, and then water that seed until it is established, grows, matures, and fully blossoms into a fragrant, attractive beauty. Before we can appreciate how a mantra can do all of this, it's important to understand the nature of sacred sound. Sages and seers explain that sacred sounds form a bridge between matter and spirit. Certain sounds among them form a portal to entering into the uncreated world, and we can walk across that bridge to become free from the illusion and ignorance we find ourselves in now. On an immediate and practical level, these sounds activate and enable the spiritual heart and senses to perceive things that are beyond the world of matter. We're granted new eyes to see what was hidden before. With this knowledge, we can act in ways that are beneficial for us. But let's talk about sound in general. All sound helps the mind both formulate and dismantle thoughts. And modern neuroscience supports this. Sound impacts brainwave patterns, emotional states, and memory. In this way, we understand that sound moves matter. And scientists are showing that sound or vibration is at the substratum of matter. Vedanta agrees with these findings and further states that sound also moves consciousness, which we'll explore more about in a minute. The mind's core work of evaluating, assembling, and deconstructing is very much dependent on what sounds we hear. What we hear or ingest, and then what we speak, fashions the mind, our spatial, intuitive, and social relational intelligence in the same way that food changes the body. And sounds create impressions in the psyche called samskaras or vrittis that follow the self from life to life, which is an important reason we ought to be very careful about what we take in. If material sound has such power, imagine what spiritual sound can do. Sacred sound is invested with the power to disassemble the material psychic body that keeps us plugged into the illusion that we are the mind body and therefore tumbling from one birth to another. In other words, a meditation practice focused on the right sounds can liberate us. Sacred sounds of the conscious world come into the material world with the purpose of calling us home, just as a lighthouse on land signals to boats at sea, assuring them of safety while showing the way. Such liberating sound is not mundane, but is sacred sound brimming with the potency of the sweet absolute. In all of Vedanta, sound is considered primary. All the yoga systems agree that sound is the root element of the world. In other words, all potential for the material world is contained in seed form in sound. Just as the largest known tree, a sequoia, germinates from a seed the size of a flake of an oatmeal, sound creates this vast cosmos. Now, mantras are sounds, but they're not just any sounds, they're living. They're sounds that work internally, changing our inner tendencies and replacing material impressions with spiritual impressions and knowledge. Something as difficult and complex as clearing away lifetimes of misconceptions can be solved simply and efficiently through divine sound. Through repeated impressions on the mind made by profane sounds, we're almost dead, stone-like, convinced that we're a physical body and mind and lost to ourselves. Sacred sound reverses this damage. Mantras act like water on the stone of the mind, wearing away these old impressions and making new, self-aware impressions. We nourish new impressions by watering the psychic body through the repeated hearing of sacred sound vibrations. Singing and chanting with the music created by the Maha-Mantra with the depth of a sincere heart, we gradually become aware of our identity and our eternal relationship with our sentient source. This eventually qualifies us to interact directly with the sweet absolute. If we want to experience the full potential of the self and see spirit and its variegatedness, invoking mantras becomes a sophisticated practice and a powerful gift. Now, to be clear, not all mantras are equal or have this power, so how do we choose our mantra? We need to take one step back to understand our choices. According to Vedanta, universal time is cyclical, and we're currently in the season known as Kali, a particularly challenged time riddled with quarrel and hypocrisy. Now, while spiritual pursuits always require effort, during Kali they're especially daunting and few can actually take the journey. So to help, the Upanishads highlight the sound out of millions of their sacred sounds that has the power to remove all the troubles of this age and resolve our own shortcomings. This sound, they say, removes the daunting effects of Kali and our own karma to bring us quickly to our goal. It's joyful to the ear and heart and forgives its meditators' shortcomings and inabilities. If we know this sound comprehensively by singing and reciting it with love, we can know everything. The sound is known as the Maha-Mantra, or the Great Mantra. Maha means great. No other mantra has been pointed out in the Upanishads as the Great Mantra. This mantra is the Maha-Mantra because it contains all the potency of all sacred mantras, and the Maha-Mantra is remarkably easy to memorize and recite. Further, one can chant it anytime, anywhere, without cost, making it one of the most potent and accessible forms of meditation within all the yoga systems. The sacred sound of the great mantra is Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To comprehend its power, we're informed that this mantra is the sonic form of the sweet absolute. Did that sink in fully? The mantra is the Supreme's personal form in sound. It is our direct connection with the Supreme Person. The words of the mantra are the names of the sweet absolute, and this sonic form is the most approachable appearance of the Supreme. Stated another way, the sound vibration is non-different from Sri Krishna himself. The mantra is not just a symbolic form, but it is the Supreme Personal Absolute in sound form. In other words, the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. It is full of all transcendental potency and is fully capable of delivering anyone from material influences. It's always liberated and spiritual. It's never conditioned by the laws of material nature. And the Padma Purana tells us the holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete. It is the form of transcendental emotional exchanges. It's not a material name under any condition, and it is not less powerful than Krishna himself. When we associate with this mantra by chanting it, we come in direct contact with the Supreme Person. Although the name and the named are non-different, if we look a little closer, we find that there is a difference. The name is more merciful than the named because it becomes freely available to us, interacts with anyone, anywhere, regardless of one's qualifications or lack of them. Mantra meditation forges a direct line of communication between the self and the Supreme Soul and grants unmediated, immediate connection with the Absolute. Such contact purifies the consciousness, awakens the self to its true nature, unleashes the full potential of spiritual energy in the heart of the chanter, and establishes an unbreakable bond of love with our divine friend. Let's look more closely at the Maha-Mantra. There are 3 names in the mantra: Krishna, Rama, and Hare. Krish means to exist and to attract, and Na means bliss or spiritual pleasure. The word Krishna then indicates the absolute truth, who is the cause of all that is, who is the refuge of all that is, and gives bliss to everyone. He's universally attractive because he is bliss personified, and his form is the very form of ecstasy. So the word Krishna describes the sweet absolute in the fullest way, because it refers to the infinite potency behind existence, who contains unlimited bliss and gives it freely. He blissfully embodies all aspects of existence and consciousness, of which prema, or divine love, is the essence. His name is also Krishna because his heart is attracted, Krish, by his devotees and their love. In this way, when we look carefully at the name, a picture of the Supreme as love personified begins to form. As we've heard in previous episodes, the Absolute controls with love and is controlled by love. Love's embrace is charming and reciprocal, and the height of love's sweetness fully manifests in the form of Krishna. And that love is ignited and cultivated through a Maha-Mantra meditation practice. The word Rama in the mantra means the one who is the source of all pleasure, and Hare means one who removes illusion, or one who steals the mind and heart, or one who removes the suffering of those devoted to him. All these names are names of Krishna. And yet, there's another meaning for Hare, and with this understanding, the Maha-Mantra speaks indirectly, secretly, of something else that's very sweet and exalted. Hare also refers to Goddess Sri Radha, the feminine form of the Absolute, who we heard about in the previous video, The Feminine Face of the Divine. I'll include a link for that episode in the description for you. The complete Absolute is the divine couple Radha and Krishna, who are one in two bodies. Radha is the personified form of Krishna's heart. She is the very embodiment of prema. As divine love personified, she is the soul of the Supreme Soul, who is the soul of everyone. Therefore, she is the soul of everyone in creation. As we heard, love is greater than the Supreme. Therefore, for some, Radha is greater than Krishna. Such is her extraordinary position. She's most dear, and some say that Krishna is unattractive without Radha. Radha is Krishna's tender-hearted counterwhole, the full expression of mercy and compassion. The Maha-Mantra reminds us of her potency, and by singing these names, we become vessels of that love which conquers our divine other. Therefore, she has special significance in the life of a bhakta. It is Sri Radha who personally empowers our chanting of the Hare Kṛṣṇa Maha-Mantra. Goddess Radha herself chants these names of her beloved, thereby showing love's natural flow to express itself by calling out to the beloved, to think of the beloved, to devote time to the beloved. The Maha-Mantra is a cry for help. O Radha, O Krishna, please accept me, please engage me in your service. Radha's name also indicates her desire, drawn from intense compassion, to invest each of us with a drop of her oceanic loving capacity. Her generosity and favor make the Maha-Mantra unparalleled among all mantras. The Maha-Mantra can be sung in a group or intoned softly to oneself. Whether you're sitting quietly with beads or join a group chant with music, this practice welcomes everyone from all backgrounds and invites anyone with a sincere heart. When the mantra is sung in a group, it's called kirtan, and when it's intoned quietly as a private meditation, it's called japa. In the next 3 videos, we'll continue with an explanation about the practices of kirtan, or congregational form of the Maha-Mantra. Then, in the following episode, I'll take a look at japa, which is individual meditation on the Maha-Mantra. And in the 3rd episode from today, I'll be exploring the experience of one who takes up a Maha-Mantra meditation practice. The Maha-Mantra is a portal into spirit, and meditating on the Maha-Mantra is an entry point to the inner realm. As your inner world takes shape, it will reflect into your physical environment and relationships. In other words, your own spiritual progress inspires improvements in all areas of your life. Therefore, as your culture progresses, you'll be able to carry the wealth of the inner development into ordinariness of your daily life. You'll be able to walk your meditation. Your life will become the meditation. A bhakti practice will completely change the way you view yourself, the world, and others, and how you relate to them for the better. This simple act of devotion calls our divine friends' attention to us. Thousands of verses in the bhakti texts, as well as poetry by bhakti saints, describe that the more the Maha-Mantra is sung out loud or softly recited, the more we become radiant with the experience of ourself, of divine love, and of our full potential in a variegated eternal existence. So whether you're new to mantra meditation or deepening your existing practice, this journey with sacred sound offers a joyful, transformative path back to your truest self. And the Maha-Mantra is not just a tool. It's a lifeline and an intimate call to the divine that brings clarity, peace, and spiritual nourishment to the true self. Thanks for joining me at Exploring Bhakti today. I hope this exploration of the Maha-Mantra gives you something to carry into your daily life. Sacred sound is always available to uplift and reconnect you with your deeper self and your divine friend. So, in our next episode, we'll enter into the practice of kirtan and the ways the Maha-Mantra comes to life in our collective meditation. Now, if you'd like to learn more about sacred sound, you can see Prema Kirtan, which is available as a Kindle book, a print book, and an audiobook. Now, I'd like to point out that the research about sound in Chapter 3, The Mystic Ear and Harmony of the Spheres, is especially fascinating. But the whole book elaborates in greater detail than I can give you today about sacred sound and kirtan, so you can check it out. May you be touched by the Maha-Mantra and the sweetness of devotion. Swasti astu vishvasya. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and for you,